on.
It's on, is it?
I just turned it on.
I just turned it on.
Yeah.
Okay. And this thing, yeah?
I'll see what I can do.
Wednesday night, he called me up and left me a message. Do you remember Michal Dobry? Did you guys know Michal Dobry?
Sure, he's having a wedding Wednesday night.
He's making a house now.
Yeah.
He left
Here
me,
in the car.
yeah, in the basement. He left me a sort of whole thing on my answering system. I didn't see that's not right.
Why?
I didn't see the invitation, but I don't doubt it did reach my house, but sometimes I don't see this thing. Thank you, mate.
Yeah, there's no batteries in it.
Oh, is it too strong, is it?
What? Oh man, is that it?
Huh? Too strong? Too strong? I think there's one here in the next room up on the ledge near there's another one of those things, but I think there's a class in there, I think.
No.
You want me to bring the one from there?
Oh, there's a class in there, I think.
They're in class now.
I think so.
What about in the old library?
I think in the old library there's also one, yeah. Is it too cold for you, is it?
What? I have a jacket in my car. I can bring it. I can put on.
Huh?
I have a jacket in my car. I can put on. Yeah, a jacket.
Well, either that or
It's
I
up
think
to
there is one
Benzion.
in the old library. I think there's one.
If Benzion, if you're not cold, then I'll put on my jacket and we'll listen up.
What are you going to do?
Good. I'm going to get my jacket. One second.
How are you doing now, mate?
I asked the Rebbe if I should in Lavola Haker.
Yeah.
I opened up the English Kodesh. Erev Shabbos Parshas Bo.
Bo, Farah. Geweldig, Mitov, Gamteen, jongens, Sifrim, Yom Shiri B'Shvat, Yom Shvat, Nishan, Al-Man, Chazal, Ayin, Zal, Zidam, Zidam, Yom Elul, Drosh, Schachkes, Sofa, Paliche, Betel, Yeshua, Weise Bepoel, Beschleser, Dvorim, Maimed, the Adam, Terror, Veda, Tfila, Nivolas Sodim, Biaradim, Atshuva, Sha'oz, Amazim, Tegel, Meirim, Ovalashon Rambam, Sha'oz, Mikablan, Isai, Amitza, Sha'oz, Benachas, Besimcha, Lo Ye'eler, Misavim, Lohem, שגם התשיבה צריך לבחור אחד ואחד ומים וכלמם ולתאר יש כל יום ובתשובה אלוה ולא יציא ולא הלך נפשי הרקיס ונפשי כל מן זה איזה משיב נפשי יש מביא זה בשמיה ומדעלמה ידועים תוריד נשיאנו אבל לא יש בסוגו הוא היום הזה שקשה בית החיים להירשע ורוני חיים הזה מלביכה His father is Eli. So we should have stories from them.
No, it says here, Bo.
That's good. That can they boil powder. That's
It says something. It seems to me that Rebbe wants me to be in this Daled Amos and to be farvering in there.
It's one of those cases where I don't want to sort of, be yoter midai darshan,
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, there's certainly not a shlila. I mean, it's not in here, Shmuel and Al-Tabolaka.
Yeah.
Steht nicht shlila. Steht dvorim tevim. Steht mit auf Chivati.
Well, how do I do tshuva? In 770, that's where I can do tshuva.
Well, it's, I אני לא מתערב בזה, if you want to go, I'm not going to stop you, אבל אני לא רואה שפה יש איזשהו, you know what I mean, ציווי מיוחד הזה ספור. אבל מצד שני, אני גם לא רואה שלילה בזה.
Yeah, I'm for sure there's a need to go to the Rebbe for Hakel.
Huh?
To go to the Rebbe for Hakel, it's for sure a great
I mean, that's it. Up to you, as they say.
Well, if it's up to me, I'm going.
I read
that could be.
I read a book which says that if you want to know what to do for Shuvah, listen to your wife. And whatever she tells you, that's the Shekhinah telling you what Shuvah you have to do.
Yeah, who told you this?
I read it in a book.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Which book? You read it in a book.
You're not masking.
Yeah?
You're not masking.
I didn't say I'm not masking like that. Tell you the point of that, I'm not kidding me, I ain't the book. I mean, Millie, the Alma steht in the Gemara. Man soll, doch. Shabbos, B'siyata D'Shmaya, Shabbos Pasha, Lech Lecho Taf Reish Ayin Daled. Vayema Hashem El Avram, Lech Lecho Mi'atcho Memoladetecho. He's got a shower, he should go for Hakel. Meron, Lech Lecho. He shows me a shaila. He shows me a shaila. It says a poem in it. Lech Lecho Mi'atcho.
That's the pshat.
It went round the corner. Ayin was Zaz and Elul was Rozin. It went round the corner. Came. I thought that was a takerai. That's a takerai. Lech Lecho Mi'atcho Memoladetecho. Because, going to the Rebbe is takerai. You go out from all the outsies and from all the, regilas and all the, Chorik Lahovin, Mahuinin Lech Lecho, the Rashi Taisus, for your benefit. Weiter. For dir. Chorik Lahovin, Mahuinin Lech Lecho. Da have a little more Lech Mi'atcho. Mahu Akefu Loshen Lech Lecho. And that'll be taking the third. So this is a Teisef Silui in Avram Avinu himself. Gam Chorik Lahovin, Mahu Ariches, the Outcho. וממולדתך חולו, ומבייס אביך כידוע. הלא העיקר צריכים להודיע להיכן שיהיה. It's unusual in a posik that you go into a tremendous amount of detail telling somebody that he should leave all sorts of details behind him and go somewhere that you don't really tell him clearly where he's going. He just says, and Rashi says that was like part of the start of Avram Avinu, that he didn't really know where he was going. So it's a dollar bilti mesuda, bilti rogil. Here we tell him three definitional proti in where he should leave, without really saying clearly where he should go. And l'chera, ifcham mistaber, the equal to somebody to go, you got to tell him where to go. And B'der Mamela, he leaves behind all of his inyon. V'zeh mi'atzmai moven she'elech mi'makaymo yeshuhu. U'mahu inyan me'atzecho chulu, meaning atzecho me'ladzecho me'beis avicho. I mean, it's moving mi'atzmai, if he's going to a new place, and the kavanah being that he's going there for good, particularly, then moving me'elov, that he's going to leave behind all of the inyonim, whatever they were. Manogea Lekam, what he's leaving behind. The Riki is where the Eivsa wants him to reach. Ubamedrash Rabbi Isa Lamohoya Avram Avinu Deimer. To what was Avram Avinu compared at that moment? Letzluchi Yesho Afuful Simon Mukefes Tzomit Psil. Umunachas Bezovit. So that name is apparently the name of a shemen, with a very beautiful wrath. It's like shemen apasimon. It could be that's another word for, avasma. And it was carefully bound with a atomic seal, and it was mona pekevim v'zovius in a corner, and nobody could really smell it. Reicha nidaf means that the smell wasn't leaking out, as you might say. If nobody was aware of the smell, and Mamela had no benefit from it. Even or when you move it around the tzluchias, even if it's got a tzomit psil, or when it gets moved around, so then the rech is penetrates outwards, and particularly the mashmoyas being that alidei metaltalim, that anyway weakens the kesher of the tzomit psil. Mamira reicha neida kach nadim shal omalei HaKadosh Baruch Hu leAvraham tatel atzmacho mimokim la mokim. And it was Taka say, Avraham Avinu went around as soon as he got to Eretz, and he went down to Mitzrayim, and then he came back Lamasoav, and then he went here and he went there, and Holech v'Noseya Hanegebo the ganze Ariches. So the Abishah said to him, it's Taki atilto, it's a taltel atzmacho. In other words, move around in many journeys, taltel atzmacho. Ve'alidei zeh shimcho mishkader. Your name will become great and mafulsam. So we see then that there's a connection with the inyan of Reicha Inoidev, with the idea that the Shem of Avraham Avinu will be Mizkader. Although it be the inyan of a Reach, which was hidden, penetrating into the atmosphere and being noticed by all the Makablim. Similarly, Avraham Avinu's name has been now worthy of being known to people, but it's been behelem mitzadei time. Now it's come the time that he's got to move around. Validei that tiltul, the world will have a benefit that the name will be known, and Mamira, his name will become great. There'll be a tosefes in his name. Like we see when a person's name becomes known, then it adds a gedula in the Shem. People mishapeach and ma'aleh and how do you call it, ma'aleh shvachim to inyan Hashem. And even to the point that as time goes by, it becomes in an oval from Guzma Kitzat. People are amazing. They tell about this person, how he was great, what he does, and we're great, and what's that to it. It even becomes, Meshubach in even from Shevach Geseira Afilu. And I'm not even from Mishgadel Hashem, that Avraham Avinu will be well known, and people will praise him, and his name will become great. But there's a movement that Mahuinu we need to understand. The Tzodik Lovin Ma HaMoshel Mehareyach. Why do we compare the whole idea of the Gidul Hashem to the inyan of Reyach? That the Reyach should be noidev, it should penetrate outwards. Validei Tiltul Davke, and precisely through the inyan of Tiltul. Mahu inyan Hagdolas Hashem. There's a diuk here. What is the milah of Tiltul? Tiltul is a dover. It's not a dover meshubach be'etzem minyone Tiltul. And b'frat legabi ben odom, to be metaltal Avraham Avinu mimokim lamokim. He wasn't yungamanchikal. Afilu lefi the seder of the Oyer Chaim of Anashim Beis man, but they generally speaking they were still living a bit longer, even though Alidei Amabel Ramban must be that the whole inyan was mismayet, the long years and the long lives, even muflag. Nonetheless, Avraham Avinu wasn't by any means a filo lefi how it was Beis man. He wasn't any a young man. He was already 75 years when they said to him, Lech Lecho. There's a mashmoyas here that there's a mailer and a guiram through the Mila of Tiltul in the Etzem Hagdola of the Sheim, and that's got a kesher, and it's a moshel or a nimshal to the inyan of Reach. In other words, that they have a close inyan one to the other. So we have to understand the implication of the Shaila. Was it a matter of Tiltul, Dakitu, shuttling Avraham Avinu around, moving him? Yeah, but derech Tiltul Davke. That's well known, the Lashon of the Gemara, the Tiltul de Gavra. You know, when a man travels and you take a man, you move him around in a way which is not al derech ha-noyach, al derech what is usually mishamish l'toiva b'chol inyonav. And at the beginning, Rashi brings that al yidei inen al halicha, al yidei inen al asiyah, v'atiltul al asiyah is other. There's a beetle in Inyanim from Pirivirivi, V'Hagdolas Hashem, and here the tzivui is that there will be a Inyan from Hagadol Shmecha, and it's mashma that Hagadol Shmecha comes from the Etzema Atiltul. From the Moshel, we see it's from the Etzema Atiltul. And I remember, what's the Inyan in the Etzem Nasiyas, Mokim that in Bifnei Atzmei is a time and a siva to Gedulas Hashem. Now, in the Gedulas Hashem Bifnei Atzmei, we ask a besondere Shaila, a separate inyan Bifnei Atzmei, L'choira Ma'u Amayla Gedulas Hashem Gabi Avraham Shoyo B'tachas HaBitl V'Ashiflus Okamesh Kosov V'Anoichi Ofova V'Eva. What is by Avraham Avinu the Mila of the Shem? The inyan from Hagdolas Hashem. But Hagdolas Hashem means fame. It means, that his name will become well known and be shogav v'fi abliyos v'ka'itzav v'zeh. Avraham Avinu being tachlis habitl, why would that be by him? Hamaylo. In other words, had the Eibusha said just derech hagav that he was going to move Avraham Avinu around, and Ali Day said, hevi yidulachem, there'll be a inyan from Hagdolas Hashem. This dibu is directly to Avraham Avinu Atzmei. Those are the things. Vayema Hashem el Avraham. You can't avoid the fact that that's a direct promise from the Eivishter to Avraham Avinu v'Atzmei. And Hagdolas Hashem means a pirsum and a fame in the world. That's the simple taita of the inyan of Hagdolas Hashem. Plus the pnimis are moving that the etem Shem itself becomes greater. Of al chaponim that is also maluva al yidei yediyas kol habriyos v'shevach habriyos v'ka'itav is if that's a promise to Avraham Avinu. If it was something we were told kilu min atzad that the koirei v'psukim ele he would know that Avraham Avinu was going to earn that, then it wouldn't be a shaila. Or if Ibalas had said to Avraham Avinu that this you should do, and that was like a ziruz and an extra tam ladova what the Eibusha gives him, and how do you call that teisefes zeros and awakening of Avraham Avinu to the etzem task. We have to understand what sort of a mila is that by Avraham Avinu. Pink fakel. You tell Avraham Avinu that he's going to become famous and people will talk about his name. That could be a sivai beim for finding a teretz of, as they say in Yiddish, the old expression of oistrent, of oishochlend, from the ganze inyan. Edify, says the Rebbe, we need to understand what is the inyan of Hagdolas Hashem. Well, Ahorin Koze, Yesh Lahoktim, Mashin is Boel, what we learned in the previous Drush or Drushim, Aefresh Bein Reach HaKobonis L'Reach HaToides. In the previous Drush B'miyuchad, that was one of the Inyonim. The Reach HaKobonis we saw was Hu Reach Sheba Meichel. The Ike inyan HaKobonis Hukinas Lechem. The inyan HaKobonis is Kaviochel, the inyan van Oichel, the inyan van Lechem, HaKamesh HaKosu, as Koboni Lachmi. As Kaviochel, as Lamaila, das is Poil, a inyan in the Sphere Selienes, al Derech, wie by a mensch, the Chizuk and the Teisefes, which comes alidei Meichel. And so we saw that Meluva el inyan ha-Meichel, Meluva el inyan achilas ma'acholim is the reach sheba Macholim, and we saw that the Reach Sheba Macholim is not a Inyan Mamish Le'atzmei. You don't eat the food in order to smell the Reach. The Reach just leads to a, what you might call a Tosefes motivation to eat the food. Okay, and therefore we saw that the Reach Sheba Michael is albeit a makif, ki kol Reach is a makif, but we saw that makif Sheba Michael Linyoni is only to be moisiv and what you might call bring Tosefes To'elas in the Michael. In other words, that's moisiv at Tosefes in the inner van Pinimi. Ubaveda who in an ava shall be avodas abo mitzad hasogav is bonanas. In other words, it's take an aveda which is in the koiches Pinimi, because it comes through the inner van avodas. And mitzad hasogav is bonanas. Sham shocher shalidei zeh ubchinas Pinimi. The beika, the inyan van the korban is a inyan van Pnimi, being as it is lachmi. Beis b'zeh gam kem b'chinas reach mitzad habirurim to korbanim. We saw that the korban being a inyan van birur. Amamela that birur in the korban is, in other words, that there's the etzem inyan of the korban mitzad the Adam. What he brings it also kapora and also Vismavua Barichas in Geras Achuva, and then there's a inyan in the etzem korban itself, that the etzem sreifas abahima gabi hamizbeach, well, that's a birur, an aliyah from the inyan of the nefesh abahamis and einachanamid. That's part of the whole ultimate kapora, which is nimsha. But take nefesh order. Of the inyan is like a birur, and therefore the Iker Korbanos al Pirov are from Minyanim Shoigeg. They come to be Mechapa al Aveda Shebeshoigeg, and therefore it's Shaykh in the Ayin Shel Shoigeg, Ayin from birur. Mashake in Minyanim from Meizid Mamish, we don't find Korbanos when I get to that. Only there's one Osham. There's one Osham which is more Alidei Inin Shel Meizid. But that's a Yetzim in a cloud, B'kol Korban. Because Inyan HaKorbanos Sokos of Inyanim is a form of birur, Claudius in the Mina Bahema, like the Alter Rebbe brings in Perek Lamed Daled, that there's an aliyah in the whole Mina Bahema Alidei Kol Korban, and there's also a tikkun in the etzem moke b'shoigeg or b'mera b'noiga of the etzem chet aproti in the order. Al choponim it's a inyan avedas abi birurim, and says the Rebbe, the kol b'chinas reach hu mea birurim davke. And we saw that the inyan from reach is connected, the inyan of birurim and reach are connected one with the other. And the reason being, because the inyan from birurim is an aliyah from the inyan of the netzutzes, the toyu shenoflu lamata, like we saw the whole moshel of the tzikei kedera, the Bach Melech and the whole thing. In other words, that the inyan from the birurim, they are oily into the shorshim, but toyu, and toyu is oirisma matifim legabi yishtalshelos. Therefore, at least I'll upon him in the birur from Michael, as it say, and therefore every inyan from reach is ultimately connected with the inyan of this aliyah, which is the inyan davke of the birur shebadova. That brings it into the tikkun of the amshocha of the toyu in the kelim of tikkun. Therefore, we saw that the whole concept of makif shebareach is shayach to ayin shel birurim. Achli yeshu hu aveda shel pitam vodas. So of course, the ikar basis of the whole aveda of korban is aveda al pitam vodas. What that's in from pnimi and davke shayches to the kochas agluim, not to the inyan of reach and not to the inyan from makif. Al keina birur shebezeh hu rak bispashtus the nefesh abamiyas ubchinas is kafiyela levot. In other words, we saw that even though Rosa de Korban Oilad Rosa de Ein Save, we saw that the inyan from Ein Save, the inyan from the Chitonius Hamakif, and in that Gufa al Nimsha to be Messiah Bilvad in inyanim from Pnimie. Aber mehr die ultimate Uftu in the Nefesh Adam and so in the Klolos Elements of the Korbanos is only a beetle in the Ine van Klippes Neuga, not a Ine van Isapre, only a beetle, what you might call, not by Etzem Amahus, a beetle be Inenais Pastas. And that's the Ine van Iskafila Levar. Piao Kain, Aina Nimshuk Baze Gilwe Amakif Mamish. And we pointed out Rosa the Ain Safe means there was a certain Gilwe Amakif, but it's a Makif a Messiah Venimshuk Ela Pnimi. I said, therefore, it's stuck here for Eil Yeshua is about only, even that it's not what you might call Ayin Atzmi, that the Father Nefesh Abamis remains, and the Inyonim of Klippus Noiga Bo'elamas remain somewhat in the Etzem Amahus Kamaikaidam, but they're not in a state of his pastors, but what you might call take of Atzmi Shaleh. And therefore, okay, and a Nimshuk was a Gilui Amakif Mamish. You can't very well say that that's a Gilui Adamakif, even that the Makif is Begilui and is Puil Lafi in your name. Now, this is only to be Messiah, another in him. I was at Reach HaKtoiras, who Reach HaBoisem, that's the union of Reach Bifnei Atzme. What all union from Boisem is a dollar, what Korinyon is to give Reach. The whole union is only to provide Reach. Shemei Shives HaNefesh, well, we see that when somebody is in a state of Chalishas, and he's Maria, Ayin shall Boisem, and a Reach, particularly a Reach Chorif, or that's a Meishi Vesa Nefesh, that he called in Yiddish, is minted him up it. That sort of gives him a frischkeit, and says, you do, I feel when Yom Kippur, you didn't give him a room, I mean, smelling the salts, full today, Ma'er Zayin, Michusha, the Ta'anisa, that's the Gemara calls it. We see from that the Inyan from Reya, Bifnei Atzmei, Kol Rinyone is to bring back a helem from the Nefesh on a certain, what you might call, his stalkus or his salmas into a gilui in the area Adam and in Pulas Adam. Obaveda hu Inyan Ryusa de Libo Shalamayla Mitam Vodas. In other words, the union of the Rotzen of the life. Ryusa de Libo, a union from Rotzen Atzmi, which is Lamayla Mitam Vodas. As it's more of a Betanya come upon in that Peter Ryusa de Libo. Elisha Betanya, sometimes you have to be medactic. It could be sometimes that he talks more in the previous case, how the Indian of Kochas Pnimim are being mistayeh al yedei makif, even that he calls Rusa Deliba. Over here in this particular context, the Indian of Rusa Deliba means that the Ikar Haveda is Biemes mitzad the Makifim Shebenefesh. It's only that we're going to see that the Taram Vadas, or the Indian is born, not so much Taram Vadas, or the Indian his bonus with the Kochas Pnimim touches off a much higher movement in the Nefesh into Lamayla Meitam Vadas Lagamri. Validei Ze Nasa Habiru de Etzem Mohus HaNefesh HaBamis. That's already Nimshach in HaOifen, that it's Puyel, a beetle, be Etzem in the Nefesh HaBaham is, but we're going to see not a beetle Mikol Atzmus, it's already Nogeya and Poyo in his Maud. Of another infant, it's Hapka Gemur. Shazem Magia Bechinas Atzmus Ein Seif, Kamayal Dara Marshal, Etzem Chibu Haneshama Ima Agu. That the Etzem Chibu of the Neshama with the Guf, as we spoke on many occasions, well, that's the Koyach of the Ein Seif Mamish, the Koyach HaMafli La says that the all the other daggers that we find at the Amshach of the Nefesh in the Guf, Alidei, the Inif and Naran, and so on, even the Inif and Chayas Klolias, all of those inyonim are after there's actually a slabshus or a gilui of the neshama b'tei haguf. Over the etzem shnei hafochim mamish of guf and neshama, the etzim coming of them together, that's what's well known, the pirush in the bracha that we make after the inifan tzachov, but that's inifan mafle reif kol bas or maflila says, and the Meforshim and the Shulchan Aruch point out that bitui maflila says refers to the etzim koyach and yechoilis of the Eibishter to be mechaber the neshama mit der gufke. That's a inyam mitzad atzmus ain't say. In other words, that's yechol tehu. They said only he can do that, to actually bring a neshama elakis into a guf gashmi v'chumri. Amam, the inyam from riach and keteiras binyono apnimim is that they reach into that inyan, that they ma'ira, like we saw in the pu'ula of the reach b'golui, that it can be mamshit and neshama back into golui. So that's mashma that even if it was mistalik by even rotzini, mamish b'teich atzpusay, but that's yetzim mishabret of the neshama with the guf. Nonetheless, the reach reaches and has a koya to be ma'ira even mimadrega shekazu. V'nim shegile chadash. And in nefesh it's chadash because ki'ilah the neshama was mistalik into a zama dregev and the etzim chibu, and there that's a dova chadash. That's kilo. If it comes back, then it's a new inyan altogether, a new gili of the neshama. And lamaila, that's a uya which has never really been inside the eye ishtaushalas, and therefore it's called chodesh. What every daga mi daga shekazu, every gilui mi daga shekazu is a whole chodesh. Okay, you do in the whole pirush, but the gilui are makifim, that when they're nimshach mitzadem is a makif, then it's a new thing like the previous makif, and that's what he means. Ayin from chodesh. Hainu gilui ha makif, gilui the makif, not just a siyuya of the makif like the pnimi. Umikol nonetheless, we saw the great chiddush bazeh in the inyan of the Sam, or that's am shocher mibchinas chitenius hakesa. It's taken nimshach mikesa, and it comes from the inyan how kesa is be'emes l'mayla mishtaushales, or it's the inyan from chitenius hakesa, so called so. In other words, in order to reach the ultimate shleimus of am shocher mipnimis hakesa mamish, well, for that we're going to need another madrega in Ketores, and that we'll see as we go along. There are two oifanim or two sugim in the whole inyan of the Gila of Ketores. Well, having b'teisves biu am shochesh leidei reach ha'toiros shemamshichim Gila ho'er makif, says the Rebbe Di mi yesh she'aveda hi b'pinas riusa deliba, that even though that's a inyan from makif, riusa the inyan from rotzen. In other words, that's already the rotzen atzmi of the nefesh, not mitzad the koyches pnimim. Umikol mokim am shocher him mipchinas chitenius hakesel levad. Yeah, like we saw at the end of the previous maima. Ayin yenu, the biur bezed the inyan haktoros haktoros hoyo al mizbech hapnimi sheba eichol. In other words, the seder of aveda b'derech harogir of the keteres was be al mizbech hazohov, mizbech hapnimi, and that was inside the hechel, not inside the kodesh hakadoshim, but it was inside the hechel. V'yadua da hechel hu b'chinas atzilas kaneda, that the inyan from the actual hechel itself up to the pareches is called or keneged madregas atzilas, and the kodesh hakadoshim the elam saying seif shalom alamia me'atzilas. Kaneda be'agimul diurim shebamigdosh. Now this lashon the gimul diurim shebamigdosh being connected these gimul bechinas sheba'ilamus. That's a lashon of the Zohar Kodesh in Pasha Shlach. Put down in Kamar Mekemis in Drushich. So this Shahain neged gimul ilamus hakloliyim. Now when he says here gimul ilamus hakloliyim, we've got to be careful. He doesn't mean the seder of hishtaushulus or ilamus hakloliyim, like we talk about atzilut the klolas, and then we say bria the klolas, and yitzirah the klolas, asir the klolas. He doesn't mean it in that sense. What he means ilamus hakloliyim, he means like klolias dikir madregas in the ilamus themselves. for example, he gives us a view of Kotzer and what that means. The Chotzer Oyel Moyed, the Azora, which is the Chotzer of the Oyel Moyed, Neged Oyelamas Bria Tziravia Asiya. In other words, Bria Yetzirav Asiya, Hanivroim, Vaproti. Via Oyel Moyed, Shu, Aheicho, Neged Oyelam Atzil. What is Lamaila and what is Kilodi? Mokke of the Ashpoa into Elamas Bia, or that's into the Elama Mamutza, or that's Elama Achilas. Viru Kedish HaKadoshim is neged Elamas or ain't safe Shalamaila Mia Achilas. It's a slightly different getter than what we call Elamas Klolium. It's a slightly different idea, but it's like dividing the general picture of the whole of Seidish Taushlas into three like dwelling areas. And that's in Infandiurim, Lailami, Achilas, and Bia. So the Rebbe says, V'alkein, Aved Sheba Heicho, Shazeu B'chinas Achilas, Harizeh Masha Shaykh Lishtauslas. Like we were just medactic to say that the Inif and Achilas is so called so, Mamutza between what you might say Etzem Ha'in Seif, Etzem Elakus, and the elements are Anivroim. Amamera, albeit Atzilus is Elakus, and even the Kelim and Atzilus are Elakus Mamish, of it's how Elakus has already been Mitzantzim and Yoired, and it's been what you might call Magbir, in a Kelim, like Abidi Oiras, with all the preparations, Mavuarim, Ribli Drushi Achsilas, in order that there should be a possibility al ida paras of orders in yonim to be mitzamtem and meir the oir into bria yetzirava asi. So komt is lefise that Atzilus is een regel. Mijne mi stauselus mi begina achas that is stauselus o elements in bia. Dat sorry in van nivroim. Goed van pinimis oir so miad leachre aparte. In het begin is neshama de bria of a kol sharia agiluim aro in van nivro. Ve'ilu Atzilus is gilelakus. So enige name me achas Atzilus is lamaila legamre me oilamas bia. Over mitzad sheni it's the mamutza, and like we saw, it's the Indian of Yeridas elakus to be nasa mokila. Atzila. So therefore it's got a shaykhas to the klolos in the infany ishtaushla. Volochin gam beginners acteurs. Shazo aveda de beginners riusa de liba. Emes riusa de liba is rotzen apnimi. Nonetheless, hari hu gam kein mash shaykh le ishtaushla. It's got some shaykhas to the Indian infany ishtaushla. So we're going to see that loshen shaykh le ishtaushla is mishtamel a tray. And pinta two oifanim, dainu in the nefesh adam ishtaushel shaloi, and how it is in the amshocha alid is elamaila also oiras of Atzilus how there be a mashayach to is ishtaushel. Ubenefesh hainu aveda shebeseida v'hadroger. Oh, that's the whole Indian. The tzov kosov, even though it's calling out on higher koiches. It's what you might call, it's already moving into the tzada bligvu sheba adam, the chelik of the adam, which is built in mukbal, of a sof kosof, it eventually enters Ayin of Seidava Hadroga. In other words, it's more defined as an Aveda of Seidava Hadroga than an Aveda she legamri lamaylam Seidava Hadroga. And he'll soon say what is like a very interesting word comes in here, but that's like the what you might call the Nakuda Samafteya, to understand that basis of definition. So he says, Va'inen, the imiyoy, the Keteris Uinen is kashrus, Kishmoy Kainu, what Keteris Meloshin Kesher, Kiyadua, that's in from Kesher, in Elakus, is kashrus, Shazo Ahava Varotzai, Shemitad, is kashrus, Atzmius. It's not the stamish kashrus, but it's anava v'rotzei mitad the kashrus mitad etzem anishoma. Is kashrus atzmis anishoma be'ereintzei ukamaima b'chad katira chulu. Information is bu'ali u'pereg yud reish yud Well, we learned that a few chapters ago, that that's the lesson of the Rashbi, what he said, B'chad Ketira is Katana by Achida, or by Lahita, the famous lesson. In the Hidra Zutra, Mamish Korev, the Sofa Zoya, where Rabbi Shimon says about himself what was Madregas, Avedos. So that's a Chiddush here in this particular, and I owe them racial base. When I say it's a Chiddush, I mean, I don't mean, it's a Chiddush beauty, moving the cloud. But also upon him, because B'derech Klau, we're mafli that whole inyan of that statement on the part of Rashbi, what he said, B'chad Ketira, is Katana, we're mafli that B'afloa Gedoyla, that was Mitzad Yechida, or Maila, that was Etzum Ishkashis, Etzum Anishoma, because Yesh Drushim Yarebe, Melech HaMashiach, where it's much that that's a Goran of the Yuchedes, Mitzad Dag is Atzmi Mamish in the Nishom. Here the Rebbe connects it with Ayin from the side of Adrog. It's interesting that he brings that as a document over the racial base also. Even though it's Ayin from Nishkashus Atzmi no, it's connected with a certain Indian, albeit Mitzad the Nishoma, because Zagluim, it's Ayin from what you might call Mitzad Milmaila Lamata. Aber so kurz auf, it's got a shaykh to the Koyach Zagluim. Was Lafisa Kuntais. So we have to say that Rashbi said that to a certain extent, not just to be mafli, Madregas Atzmei, the Gavi Shabane Odom, but he said it as a Aiseres and a Dugma, the Kol Eilish, Kru, Veliumado, that they should know that he held on that Madrega, and he was like the Rebbe Nishma said, I leave you the Ksovim, the famous deal from the Rebbe said, I leave it for you, meaning that it has to become your Inyan. If the Rebbe left it over for you, then it's a silence for your Inyan. With the ganze Diuk and Diktuk Bedova, when I get to that famous Lashon of the Rebbe Nishma said, the same thing. The Rashbi, if he wrote it or at least he said it to his Makablan in the Zohar Kodesh Terem, his Talkusei Begola, at least from the Olam, is even though obviously it's a Madrega Roma Venisora, but we have to say it's Bekoyach Adam. Yeah, and that's what the Rashbi meant about it. It's like to a tifa nuance that those inyonim were not said just to be mad. Everybody should read that. Ooh, that's the Rashbi. Shalom Aleichem. That was nice to learn that in Megate Vita. We have to know that the Rashbi said those inyonim. But Kavanose was that should become what you might call a neches of Klolos HaEloimim, Klolos HaElosh Yedum, he said. A pili place from the time. I remember B'chad Ketira with one kesher, Mikom, okay? Even though, that's his kashas Atzmiyas, his Seirer, Zois, he alidea is bonines, on the part of the Adam. And we're not talking only to Bali Madregas, Mufloim, Vainareich. We're talking Kol Adam. His bonnes begint Hakfloa, Vahavdola, the Ere Tzeiporach. And that's before. He's going to soon say that this is Madrega of the Machif Techayo. Before Vahavi Drushim says that the Indian from the Machif Techayo, you reach it through his bonnes in Inyonim, which elevate you rather than bring you to his Yashvas. Or they still shy to Indian Shalasoga. The Hainu, that you're massing the Hafloa and the Abdullah of the Ein Seif. And Mameli, your whole koch is in Inyonim from Shlila at the beginning, and then if you're blessed and you're given a tremendous Yata Dishma, you can even come to what he calls a certain Hasoga in the Uifen of the Hafloa. About Choponim. It's all in Inyonim which are Ma'ura and what you might call Magbia, the other Michutz le Agdolas Etzem Amusi. Hainu, he said the Russa, the Liebe, Zois, I'm sorry, the Hainu, the Russa, the Liebe Zois, Einabro, Min HaManagid, Ki Im Mi HaNeshoma, Atzmo, Alidei Argosha der Ein Seif Amufla Umudal Churu. ואם כן, הרי זה עבודה שבסדר והדרוגה, מאחר שזהו מצד הנשמה עצמו. Here's a good ability gesagt. Here's a very interesting definitional inyan. Why do we say that this is all shaykh, so to ishtaushes and everything ishtaushes alaf kol flores bezeh? Well, that's what you're giving. It's what you might call you are feeding yourself. So your etzem and neshama is being misapek you in yonim, and your etzem and neshama has got madregas in it. And one of the early madregas is already Ayin and Shel. Lamalami etzem hagdora shel kochas apnim. It's a rotzen atzmi. Says the Rebbe, it's all coming from you, and therefore it can't ultimately be the Tachlis Ha'ilui from the Etzem. How do you reach Tachlis Ha'ilui from the Etzem if there's a Menagid? Isn't that amazing? If there's Mamish a Menagid, and that Menagid, he comes, as they say in Yiddish, stoist van kegen, stoops himself Mamish into a in from Milchama. Oh, that was when the Seder as auch is, but they take you completely and utterly l'maydel legamri mikol ador shel hakoyches pnim as ata niknas binyan ha'atzmi as ata lo b'seder v'ha'droga yoter k'mur in the ganze hemshech von Bosi legani bariches the whole hemshech likras seif adru seif ha'hemshech the inne von the chayolim abshuti, but they go dafki with the inne von koyach ha'neitzach dafki mitzad the inne of the man Nagidavki, because the Dover would come and even threatens the whole, what you might call, state of the security of the whole status quo. Then was calls out koiches amukim ve'atzmiyim on those koiches amukim ve'atzmiyim or their poyers kola gedorim, and that's the famous mashal of the Melech. When he's how do you call it Yaitzel the Kishrei HaMilchama, then he's moitzes kol ha'oitzos ha'tmunim, and he's moitz v'mashli chayuv me neged Chmonin Nitzan, that he himself puts himself in the ganze brain into the etzem and Milchama, even from mashli the satzmi neged with the ganze arichas we state dog. We see that after when there's a Indian for Nitzuach, a Menagid, or that calls out in Yonim Atzmim, or even show preachers Kolagidorim, and Mamira Hoitzuas Kola Oitzuas. Benefesh Odom, that's the Eitzas, like he brings over there, that's the Eitzas, what he calls over there, the Oitzorish or the Yerushamayim, Shebekol Echo Echad, what he brings over there, that's the Indian for Yechidah Void Lamaylam, he said. Mamira, that's the Hebdil. Even though you're getting here into high inyonim, you're getting into high inyonim, how you reach these high inyonim, and therefore your nefesh has got the oitras, and it's misapek you, those oitras. Over when you're faced with a menagid and something mamish threatens the whole situation, well, the iskabras is mamish mitzada etzem, and mamela, it doesn't really come just from your neshama giving you the koiches, it comes mitzad the menagid. It's kilu that the menagid or the skipoil. And mamela, that's a dvapele, nimtze shebeizishu oifen. The menagid's got a certain, he's got a certain role that he has to be. Kidei zayin azam mitzot iskalim. That's what the Rebbe said. That's already been enough of these inyonim yet. All those inyonim have already been nifal. And remember, yes, we go to the Suda. We brought down all the inyonim, and it's all been biz atzmus and biz pnimis atzmus. Fully bein benefesh odom bein elakus. Remember, akol muchen l'Suda v'ashav efshar kilu. To use the expression lahenish mikol inyonim ha'elu. Mamela said the Rebbe, there's a Lashon Pir, Mamish. He said that's the in which bo al idei ha'menagid, ki im neshama atzma, comes from the in of the neshama itself. Al idei argosha de erein seif, it's a feeling, that's a sensitivity, emes, amufro umuda. Mamela emes, you feel and you sense, the in of erein seif amuda. So here we notice that sof kol sof, the ultimate gilui of the Adam is not a dova mugda v'boru, no, it's a in van argosha. It's what you might call awareness. He's aware. And as they say in the famous lesson of the Friedrich Rebbe, the neshama spirit and the neshama feel. It's a in van neshama gefeel. However, he feels that he's aware of the Ayin Sefer, but it's hard to say that he mamish came there, or rather, the neshama gave him a gilui, was me'afsher, that he should feel and be al koponim shayach of a sokos of tziniv and seid of aha droga rakshas u'b'makifim the nefesh the shom who are goshes b'china seirin seif ha mufla. Another time why he uses the word argosha, that since sokos of the iker hasoge, in that is the sokos hashlila kemuvur become a makayim, so therefore you can't really say you were massing it, but you can. The Hasogas Hashlila feeds the Neshama Gefil. You sense it, you're aware of it. You can move over, become a makayim. It's that inyan in Argosha. That's the inyan that we've come, and we'll have to pause there this evening because I've got to get the minyan organized early tonight. Because we get the Bachim Davnik early, if we want to get them up early for Slichas. We'll have to pause here for this evening. Suffice it to say that we came to the Heragish of Erein Sefer Amufla, the Masha Mugish, Becheches Giluim, the Nefesh, but there are clouds in the order, Shabov Islam. Normally what you feel is only Elakus, only Elakus came Bislavsha. Over here, you say to Ayin of Hargosha Erein Sefer Amufla, or Be'em is set child to the Veda of Rusada. Deliba. So we have to hope that this is the final remez that we'll have to have. Beis Shemovim, that there's some menagid, and that there's even miles in having to fight with the menagid. And we'll have to say that now that we're going to L'chol Malibi, Bak Shulchanai, we're going mamish for the real Makoi, we're going for the Pnimis Atzmiyas, and the Eibush himself sends a shliach, L'chol, there's Rashi says Shlichutzcha, that we should look only for that, is well, we can all be together, take of Miyad, mamish, now, in the Beis Hamikdash, instead of Hakil being in Beis Rabbeinu Asher Ba'Bovil, but Hakil will be K'mitzvase, or K'pshutei, here in Eretz HaKodesh, and Altzena, HaKadosh HaMamish, and Beis Hamikdash HaShlishi, mit Malkeinu Meshachenu B'yachad, Omen Ken Yehi, Ratzin, and the Lech Lecho Me'atzcho will already be Mushlam in a very short moment, and Ma'im Mazaz and Elam Mazurozim, and the Al Inyan will all be only in a moment, and then boom, take of Miyad Mamish.